Somerset ICB. I'm an assistant financial accountant, and together with my team in financial accounts, we developed this innovation over time. So if we go to the next slide, Becky, please. Yeah, so this is the team. We are a very small team. I think normally ICBs have smaller teams. Yeah, my manager is Paul Collins. He's a senior financial accountant. Then is me, Maria Griffiths, assistant financial accountant. Then we got Gemma, another finance assistant, and Joshua Reynolds. And recently we got Emily Shackle, another financial support role. So we are a team of 5, so we are a small team, and sometimes we have to deal with various transactions in the Oracle system. So if we go to the next slide, please. The main problem that we wanted to solve, it was how we could be effective using the metrics, the ISFE metrics. The ISFE is the Integrated Single Financial Environment Program within SBS to run all transactions from all ICBs and CSUs. We have NHS England has 4 CSU within the system and 42 ICBs. So it gives lots of data, and there's so many transactions within the system accounting for 150 billion. So it is important to have a good performance, effective and financial performance. So NHS England, together with SBS, publishes best practice guidance in the ISFE environment. I'm sure everybody has already seen there's various procedures within SBS website. We normally tend to use all those procedures. We follow them, and we have our own procedures as well. We have our own standard financial instructions, and we adapt our procedures to what we have in the financial instructions and SBS procedures. After transitioning from the CCG to an ICB in July 2022, we had increased volume of work. Some of the reasons was because we have various people retiring, so we had a reduced team to deal with all the transactions. So we needed to find a way to improve. We used to be in the top 3 performing organizations, and yeah, we need to do better to face the small or reduced number of staff and the increased number of transactions. So this was the main problem we wanted to solve. Next slide, please. So here is the metrics that are published by NHS England and SBS. So mainly it shows you how every organization is doing within the different areas within the system. So in accounts payable, for transactions with NHS organizations and transactions with non-NHS organizations, accounts receivable, general accounts, general ledger, and VAT. Mainly the top scores is a 5. So everybody will try to achieve a 5. So you can see that sometimes we have between 2s and 3s. It's quite difficult to get a 5 unless everything is completely perfect in that area. So it seems that this report is from May. This shows a 5 on general ledger and VAT. So we are quite good at mainly is the VAT, the reflection of the VAT. We normally try to solve any issues or any transactions where there are queries, and we deal with them every month, but I will explain a little bit more on each area what we normally do to try to get a higher score. But in May, our rank was 2. That's 2 with within 42 ICB. So this is a good score, even we got some 2s and 3s. And sometimes it also depends on how other organizations are doing. So is yeah. So if we can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. The last slide was kind of like the summary, and this slide is showing the metrics specifically for accounts payable for NHS transactions. Just to show you just the detail of what is measured and the scores. And there's like a color theme here that you can see. If you are on the green area, you are doing very well, and you are closer to the red. There's some things going on some things maybe you haven't got any information. So yeah, so we look at all this information and try to come up with ideas to improve our processes. Next slide, please. Yeah, the challenge was how to improve our performance against these metrics, reestablish our position within the top performing organizations, and improve our financial processes and procedures to ensure compliance with the ICB's financial system controls and standing financial instructions. We were when we were with the CCG, we were between I don't know, between the first and the fifth performers. But when we move into the ICB, our performance dropped because of the lack of number of staff and increased transactions. And we dropped down to about to be the 15th or 18th in some occasions. So we needed to keep an eye on our processes just to get back to the top again. Next slide, please. So we look at the mainly these 4 areas. These 4 areas are where we have probably more transactions: the accounts payable, accounts receivable, general accounts, and the general ledger and the VAT. The next slide, please. In the accounts payable, that's where we have most of our transactions, as probably as many ICBs. Yeah, we normally download the non-PO report, and we use this non-PO report to analyze all the information. So what we've done is we created a spreadsheet with an Excel macro, and this helps us analyze invoices per user, per department. The macro also creates a pivot table, also make things easier. What we've done is try to automate the process that it would normally take hours to obtain the information by using a macro. So we run the non-PO reports daily, and with the help of the macro, we send weekly reminders to users with invoices outstanding for more than 20 days. And we also have a tab within that spreadsheet that creates or separates invoices outstanding for more than 90 days. So we try to have regular meetings with departments that have a high volume of invoices and try to resolve any issues. This has become very successful. So every time you contact someone and try to investigate why are the reasons that some of the invoices are still being held. This sometimes it's just a misunderstanding. Sometimes there might be a comment, and maybe an invoice needs to be cancelled because the supplier is never going to produce a credit note, maybe because they cannot do it on the system because there was an error and they deleted the invoice from their system, so there's no way to get a credit note. So it's some invoices might have an error and they need to get a different invoice or amended invoice. I don't know, it could be an error from SBS, like there could be an incorrect invoice number or details on the system compared to what is on the invoice. And so it's important to contact people directly and talk about what they have in their Oracle boxes to get a solution, because sometimes we as a finance team, we can help and sort out some issues, but sometimes it might be the budget holder who needs to do something to approve the invoice or request a credit note. Next slide, please. So here is the just the image of the spreadsheet that has the macros. So it's like all these buttons are different macros. So this basically is the transactions within Oracle on the payables side, all the outstanding invoices that haven't been approved. And it's got this button, create non-PO report, create contact spreadsheet by contact. Mainly what it does is just creates is the same spreadsheet but separated by contacts. There's also the notification spreadsheet. We separate all the invoices that are within the notification box in SBS, and to be able to keep an eye on what's getting in the notification. Sometimes some invoices, the number of invoices in the notification box increases a lot, and they don't move, and we don't know what's the reason. So we need to contact SBS to make sure that box is moving and is getting reduced. We also created non-invoices, number of invoices of a spreadsheet. This is just a people table that shows you that how many invoices each Oracle user has in Oracle, so just to visualize who has the most invoices, and if we need to make to have a meeting with that person. It also creates NCA, a spreadsheet. This is all the invoices that are we have a NCA, non-contracted activity box where we send all the NCA invoices, and just we keep also an eye regularly just to make sure that those invoices are moving, they're getting validated and approved. And then we have a box for the create over 20 days spreadsheet. So any invoices that have been on the system for more than 20 days, well, they need to be approved as soon as possible, just to be in line with the better payment practice code. To be able to pay within the 30 days, we normally do a spreadsheet that all invoices are in the system within the 20 days. So that gives us an extra 10 days to be able to pay the invoices and be within the payment terms. And yeah, so if you were to click on each button, you will get like a quick report, and you will see at the bottom there's some tabs. So in each tab is the spreadsheet created within each macro. Next slide, please. So what we have a look within the accounts payable as well is download weekly interface rejections reports, host reports, return reports, dummy supplier reports, and goods received not invoiced reports. It is important to analyze all these reports. We do it at least weekly, just to be able to clear all those invoices that have in some way a hold in different ways. So for example, like the dummy suppliers, it is important to check because it's going to take time for take out the transactions from the dummy supplier report due to the supplier not being set up on the system. So we would have to get the supplier details, well, ensure first of all that the invoice is for the organization. Sometimes we receive invoices that are not for us. They go to the dummy supplier because there's supplier is not set up. So yeah, we would need to get the supplier set up first, and that will take some time to get the information from the supplier. Additional time could be another 5 days for the supplier to be set up on the system, and then another 5 days for the invoice move up from the dummy supplier report to the workflow. So yeah, it is important to check all these reports at least weekly. Yeah. The next thing we do is contact SBS to correct any errors and match PO invoices if we have identified that there's any error on the system, just as simple as it could be an invoice that has the incorrect invoice number. Immediately contact SBS so the invoice transaction on the system can be corrected, because otherwise it could be approved and paid with the incorrect number, and if we don't do it as soon as possible, then the invoice can go through the system being paid, and when the remittance gets produced, it will have the incorrect invoice number. So the supplier could think that we haven't paid the invoice, but we have, but it just had different number, and they wouldn't be able to allocate to the right invoice. So yeah, the other thing we do that helps a lot with to reduce the number of transactions is to use as much as possible invoice payment files. We use them for block payment. This is at all the contracts we have. The low volume activity, which used to be NCAs with NHS organizations. Continuing healthcare, that's the majority of the volume. Personal health budgets, GP transactions, opticians transactions, mental health assessment payments, and renal dialysis claims. So it's where we can see there's a high volume of invoices, and if we can use payment files, we do that, and that reduces much of the work we do. The other thing we do is select all the invoices within our payment runs to make sure all invoices are paid within the better payment practice code. This is within the 30 days terms of payment. Yeah, it's just selecting when you run the do a payment run. We download the report and analyze it and make sure that we first select like older invoices rather than the newer ones. Yeah, the other thing that we do is review monthly credit balances and contact suppliers to resolve any issues promptly. It could be that we have a credit balance due to that all the invoices were paid and suddenly we receive a credit note, and the credit note will be the balance, and we would have to contact the supplier and ask for the money to be sent back to us. Hello? Oh, somebody made a comment? Okay. I'll continue then. Yeah, next slide, please. In the accounts receivable side, we have a small number of transactions, but we still download weekly reports to analyze all the information, and we make sure we contact SBS on a monthly basis, and request for SBS to chase. With SBS, they normally try to set up like meetings every 2 months, which we prefer to be monthly, just to make sure that we have all those transactions moving or being cleared from the debtors report. So we always are asking for monthly meetings. So it is important that they do the chasing, because in many occasions, if we have like very transactions that have a small value, we need to we need to chase them if SBS hasn't got the time to do this. I think SBS have the priority just to chase all invoices that are very high in value. So all small value invoices don't get chased on a monthly basis. So we ended up chasing those invoices, but by requesting SBS monthly meetings, we insist, and we've been persevering with this to making sure that SBS does that chasing, because they have the contract with NHS England. We provide all the necessary information that SBS needs, just so they can follow up and keep doing this chasing. We allocate cash daily and to the correspondent ledger account. Next slide, please. Within the general accounts, the year we check the GRNI reports and make sure they are downloaded and analyzed weekly, to make sure we clear all those those purchase orders that are still open. We chase Oracle users by sending emails requesting to code invoices. This is where when we run our non-PO reports, we do this weekly, and the fact that people are coding invoices, this reduces the number of invoices in our suspense account, so that also reduces the amount or number of accruals that we need to add at the month-end accounts. So yeah, it's everything we do has like a repercussion to something else. So it's like we need to make sure that we keep an eye on something, and we are doing all those following those processes every week. Yeah, next slide, please. The other part we have introduces an automated spreadsheet is on the control accounts side. We reconcile the control accounts monthly, and we review them monthly to correct any errors. So this spreadsheet has a macro, and it has been created to analyze the general ledger transactions against trial balance and the control accounts that are produced by SBS. So we do like 3-way like reconciliation. Also on the VAT side is we analyze monthly. We work with the SBS and our VAT advisor to resolve any queries. And we also have a spreadsheet where we add all past queries, and this helps to reduce the work for the current month, because there will be less need to contact our advisor when we already ask a question in relation to if a transaction can be recovered. So we have all those notes, and we keep adding them every month, and that reduces the work on our VAT. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is the spreadsheet for the control accounts. We had various buttons that has macros. And we have various columns as well. If you see the column F, column G, and column H and I, it kind of reconciles to the different reports. So the first, the column F relates to the control accounts from SBS. The second one, it reconciles to the TB. So we can see here the comparison, and we got a variance. And the last one is a flag that it links to the transactions report. So it's just got a formula that kind of gives us the transaction, the latest transactions that haven't got any contra transactions. So for example, if you see one of them says April, so if it's got NA, that means that there's no transactions with contras, and if it's got a month, that's the latest transactions that we have for that for that subjective. We just kind of color each line for each subjective. Like say, if it's green, is that the transactions are correct. If it's like orange, is there's a query, or there's some things that need to be investigated. But all this coloring is done by using the macro and the formulas. So this is our more automated control accounts spreadsheet. And next slide, please. This is just a view of the transaction report, and here is showing like all the contra transactions highlighted in yellow. So it's like we got this button that highlights the contrast in gray. So because we normally download every month for the first 7 days, while the month end is going until closure date, and then we save the transaction report, and next month we do the same, but we add the next month's transactions to the previous month. And so at the end of the year, we have all transactions with all the contra marked in the spreadsheet. So it's easier to have a look at transactions without all those contras. The next slide, please.
That was the last slide.
Oh, is that the last one? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's what we normally do. We just try to introduce like different spreadsheets within all the processes within the financial accounts to be able to speed up the dealing with transactions. And so do anyone have any questions?
Got one from Victoria.
Hello, hi. Thank you so much for the presentation. If we maybe go to one of the first slides, it would be interesting just to give us an overview of how the metrics are calculated. Sorry, I didn't really catch that during the presentation. Where you said the general ledger and VAT are at 5, so you're actually doing very well. Just in terms of like little rationale how the metrics have been calculated.
Well, the metrics are calculated by SBS. There's the metrics. I think that there's various pages to the metrics that I think, as I showed on the what is it in the, it's the 5th slide. I don't know if you can show the 5th slide. That's yeah, that this is the accounts payable, but yeah, it's just the scores that SBS will give to everyone, depending how everyone is performing. But it could be between percentages. If you see in this slide, we got after the columns that are colored green, we got like target. The target is and then we got like the average of and then best in class, best in region, and 12 months average. All these calculations are done by SBS, but we use the metrics. We just analyze the metrics in the sense of just to be able to evaluate where we are doing better and where we are not doing as good as we should. So, but I can ask the question and how SBS calculates, and I can come back to you if that helps. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That's okay. I thought that it's something that you calculate, but it's fine if that comes from SBS. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions from anyone? Doesn't look like it. Thank you very much for joining us today, Maria. I hope that everybody found it useful, and I will share the recording and the slides afterwards. Thanks again.
Thank you, everyone.